Season 2 of The Old Man premiered September 12th, 2024, with a special 2-episode premiere on FX. Episodes 1 and 2 ran for about an hour long each, so it was a 2-hour premiere. Now, the story tells about Dan Chase, played by Jeff Bridges, who was a former CIA operative and Afghan veteran living off the grid in Vermont for 30 years. His friend is Harold Harper, played by John Lithgow, who is the FBI Assistant Director of Counterintelligence and is called to apprehend Chase because of their complicated past during the Soviet-Afghan War. Now, the second season opens up with a huge recap of season 1. If you didn't see season 1, do so, because the writing is immaculate and magnificent. This second season will have 8 episodes, and I feel like it's going to be action-packed. Now, kind of the first 2 episodes of the second season run hand in hand. We see in this first episode that Dan and Harold are in Afghanistan. They make it there because they need to rescue Angela Adams, the daughter of Dan Chase, Jeff Bridges' character. But then they get into some controversial conspiracy, and they meet with this person named Omar. And it's like, okay, what is going on? Omar keeps asking Dan questions. What is happening? Who's this woman you're here to rescue? What is your connection with her? This and that. We find out Omar is Taliban intelligence. So the big bad guys in this season are the Taliban, and you could say that Omar is the villain in this season. Season 1 didn't really have a villain, so to speak, which is really, really interesting and underrated. Like I stated, if I didn't state it, season 1 had 7 episodes. This season had 8 episodes. So it's really, really good to see them add an extra episode to this season. While that's going on, we see the back and forth and the history and the flashbacks of Dan's past, also with Harold and how they became friends, the aspect of why Harold was called to, go after and apprehend Dan, and the whole aspect of what is Faraz Hamzad's thing, what is the aspect, what's going on with that story. The ending of this, we see them in a cave after Omar and Dan get into a big, big fight. They get to a camp, everyone's dead. What is going on? What's happening? And in a way, Harold gets on the phone with Miriam, and it's like, no, who is your person in contact? It's Ali, and it's like, oh shit. John Lithgow just has a revelation of, okay, something's going on, something's wrong. So they go to a cave, they, patch up Jeff Bridges' character, and then it's like he has hallucinations about Faraz Hamzad. He wakes up, and he sees an older version of Hamzad pointing a gun to him. That's the end of the first episode. That's the entirety of the first episode of the second season, because it's just simple with between Dan and Harold, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. You get those flashbacks. Now we move into the second episode, where we see Angela Adams, played by Alia Shawkat, who also goes by Emily Chase, and Parwana. And we find out, and if you didn't see the first season, this is going to be a spoiler, that Angela Adams, or Parwana, is actually the real daughter to Faraz Hamzad. Dan actually fell in love with Faraz Hamzad's wife at the time, took her back to America. The mother had Angela, and then it was like, don't talk about Faraz Hamzad, but why? And Parwana kind of wants to know questions and answers to certain things. And it's like, why did you kidnap me? What's going on? She has a tussle and a fight with her father, and it's like, holy shit, what is going on? And the entire episode of the second season is basically seeing Angela trying to kind of fit in with where she's at now, and you can see her slowly fitting in, but still she wants answers to her questions. She asks Faraz Hamzad, like, what is going on? What's happening? What does all this entail? And he's not giving her any answers, because in a way he's technically working with the US government. And then we see that Omar goes to his uncle and says this and that, and he has like a huge ass gash, wearing an eye patch, because after Dan just gave him that wound in the first episode of the second season. But then we see that the big thing and the big driving force is the mining area, the minerals that they're mining, which is lithium, which is their source of money. And Faraz Hamzad has control of that by the backing of the United States government. And the Taliban want that. So the Taliban are the big villains, as I stated. But then it's like, okay, what is actually going on? This woman that is with Faraz Hamzad, She has a history. What's her history? And Angela's trying to figure out everything. And then the ending of kind of this episode, we see that Faraz Hamzad really tells Angela, or Parwana, his daughter, about how the mother was and what she is. And they're going to a cave that only the mother knew about and Faraz Hamzad knew about. But then it's the same cave that Dan and Harold are in the first episode. And then all of a sudden you hear a gunshot and it's like, what? And that's the end of the second episode. And you see Angela Adams' face like, holy shit, what did she witness? And then we have to wait. The previews for the upcoming episodes after this second episode is absolutely immaculate because the writing looks like it's going to be great. I mean, the series was created by Jonathan E. Steinberg and Robert Levine, so it's really, really good. I mean, when you have one writer for all episodes, it's really great. It can be confusing at times, I will admit that, because you're going back to the past of Dan's life, Harold's life, Faraz Hamzad's life, and you're going into the present, what the now. I mean, you see two old guys kicking ass and taking names. You're gonna love it. I mean, it's great to see Jeff Bridges and John Lithgow doing a TV show together, especially something as of this magnitude. The show, if you didn't know, is based on the standalone thriller novel The Old Man of the Same Name by Thomas Perry, which came out in January of 2017 and has about 352 pages. So it's based on the book, and if you didn't read the book, do so. If you didn't see the first season, do so, binge it. It's on Hulu if you have that as a simple streaming service subscription, or if you have Disney Plus with Hulu, it's on there as well. Definitely check this show out. Each episode will probably run between 45 to 68 minutes long, give or take, between the end credits scene, and it's like, okay, what's going on? Who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? What does the U.S. government want? It's good that this season has 8 episodes, and it's like, okay, what is the real power? What is the real force of it? And what happened? And what's the history between everything going on? And what does Dan and Harold have to do in order to save and do certain things? And how big of a role will Angela Adams or Parwana play in kind of helping the people in this village that is led by Faraz Hamzad? And you can tell he's kind of a bad guy, but also a good guy and kind-hearted as well. But I mean, you have to wait and see to find out what actually is going to happen, because once again, there are still a lot of questions that need to be answered. And as you're watching it, it will be confusing, but if you understand the gist of it and the storyline process, you'll really, really understand where this story is going and what will come up next, and how big the Taliban and the Soviet-Afghan war was, and how big a role the character of Dan Chase, Harold Harper, and Angela Adams play into it. And it's good to see that this second season really has a big villain like Omar. But how long can that really last? Have to wait and see to find out. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought about the episode 1 and 2 special premiere episode of season 2 of The Old Man. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think of it? What did you think about the aspect of the story? What was your favorite scene? What was your least favorite scene? Do you like the dialogue, the script? Do you think it's a boring show? Do you like it that it's something that you've never seen before? Is it confusing? Have you read the book by Thomas Perry? And what do you think is happening? What do you think will happen? And have you seen episode 1 and 2? Or have you seen season 1 for that matter? Let me know in the comment section below about all the questions I just asked. I also will be doing episodic weekly reviews for season 2 of The Old Man up until the season 2 finale. So be sure you tune in weekly. And next week, be sure to check out my episode 3 season 2 review of The Old Man. I'm Mr. Filmstock. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next review video.